Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Daily Racing Form YouTube. I am Gino Buccola alongside Mike Beer with producer Bobby helping us out for a good race to bet on Friday. Mike, I really liked handicapping this one. It's the Penn Oaks. This is going to go as race number 5 on Friday night. They've rescheduled these Penn National Stakes races a couple different times. I thought the Oaks came up just really wide open. You and I were briefly talking about it before we started recording. There's a field of 9 lining up. Honestly, and you can see this on the betting board, 8 of them wouldn't shock me. There's a 50-1 shot, and then anyone else in here really wouldn't be absurd.
I agree. It's a pretty good race here. Luckily for Penn National, these two races, after being rescheduled twice, they've really held together pretty well. They got a little assist there from the weather at Saratoga a couple weeks ago. But, man, these races really held together. And this race in particular is very strong, super interesting. There's a ton of upside in this race in particular, Gino.
Look at the trainers in this race. Chad Brown, Rusty Arnold. You've got Ortiz, Cassie, another Chad Brown, another Cassie, Cherie DeVoe, and Graham Motion. Just huge names from the trainers and the jockeys who come in to ride some of these really nice horses. Let's take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector. See how they have this thing shaping up. On paper, there's a couple pressers, but there doesn't look to be all that much early speed. I don't know if they're going to be flying early on, but we do have a couple versatile horses who I think can be sitting close.
Yeah, I thought this pace was really, really tough to decipher. And I don't want to argue too much with this pace projector, even though I was kind of surprised to see the 5 out there on the lead. I guess it's possible based on the dirt start last time. I guess the only other horse who I thought we were probably going to get some speed from is that, sort of hopeless long shot you were talking about here, Gino, the 2.
Yeah, be curious to see what Flavian Pratt does as we move to meet the field here aboard the 1 Accent, because he's someone who gets aggressive sometimes. Mike, he's very good at like reading the race, looking and seeing that there's not a whole lot of speed. Accent makes a big early move in here, got a great opening, and then moved out to the center of the course. This horse is a half sibling to multiple Grade 1 winner Program Trading, who's earned $1.3 million. And the horse that he beat in this race did come back to win a maiden special weight next out at Delaware with the 70 Beyer speed figure. So lots of positives about the race, the way it came back. I thought visually it's good. This is just a pretty tough step up into a really competitive race here.
I agree. Yeah, listen, she just did sort of like everything right in the debut. And it's not a performance, at least in my opinion, that's going to blow you away. But she did, her sort of giveaway position early in the race, just trying to get over so she didn't get caught wide. Her rider had to sort of give away some position. After that, she got a really good trip. She came through between horses. She, as you mentioned, she moved a little early. She was always finding enough at the end of that race to hold on. You mentioned her pedigree. Her half-brother is a 3-time Grade 1 winning millionaire that Chad Brown also trained. So that there's pedigree to go on for this horse. I don't know, Gino. I don't love her in here, and I don't really want to bet her, but I'm not going to be shocked when she is right there at the end of this race. There are things to like about this horse.
Same thing. And I initially went, okay, 8-1 with those connections, no way. But then you kind of go through the field, and since it's so competitive, she probably will be in the 6-ish to 1 range, I think. And that is playable against this group if you think she can take a step up. But I'm not sure. I think I like some of these other proven horses a little bit more. One of them is not Pure Majestic, who is a stakes winner on a muddy track, but the wins both come on the lead. Hasn't been able to get out of the gate in the last few races, just has been nowhere, Mike.
I mean, I guess if they're going to run here at a really, really big price, they just have to send her and see what happens. Listen, they've, tried stakes races now in her last 4 starts on 3 different surfaces, and she's just gotten absolutely buried every single time. And this race is tougher than those.
Love You Anyways, the 3 in here. Nothing really wrong with her overall form. She just missed in her career debut. Then in her second start as a maiden, they went into the Florida Oaks. It was a Grade 3 race. She finished 5th. The horses who were in front of her that day, the winner Nitrogen is a 4-time graded stakes winner who's won 5 in a row. Runner-up Lush Lips is a multiple graded stakes place horse who has been behind Nitrogen in the last couple races and hasn't been able to get better than that. Laurelin is multiple graded stakes place. Even the 4th place finisher Opulent Restraint came back and finished 2nd behind Laurelin next time out. And that was just a really good race that she finished 5th behind 4 nice horses, comes back and breaks the maiden, sits a really nice trip at Keeneland. I mean, she fits pretty well with this group.
I agree. I think, the thing I like most about her anyway, and we'll look at her maiden win here. This is after, listen, she was really green on debut, but showed some talent. They took a shot on the Florida Oaks, and that was just too tough at that time. But this is a nice step in the right direction for her, Gino. She did get a good trip in here, but she always looked like she was going to win. Still a little drifty in the stretch here, so I really don't feel like she has it all figured out yet. But man, she's got some real ability. And there's a real chance that if she doesn't move forward here, she will move forward at some point this summer and be a factor in some really nice races.
Could be a real positive in this race too is the running style. She's been sitting closer and closer. She could be in a really nice spot in here. Again, Reining Flowers, multiple stakes place. I think she's sneaky in here, Mike, when you are just kind of comparing her and Laurelin and you look at the race last year, they were both in the Tepin at Aqueduct. And I thought Reining Flowers ran better, honestly, than Laurelin. She had like legitimate trouble a couple different times. She was pinned in that day. And if you look at since then, all we've seen from Reining Flowers was one race on a sloppy track where she chased a lone speed winner. She didn't really have much of a chance that day. I just think like she could be a real bettable horse in this race.
I agree. You just sort of feel like too, the last one, and I'm sure they wanted to run her on turf, but I'm sure they realized too that she needed a race. And once it came up, they just leave her. I don't think they were, at least when I look at it, I don't think they were expecting her to win that day, but now she's got a run under her belt, tightened her up a little bit. She gets back to her preferred surface. I just feel like on paper, you might look at her and feel like, I don't know, why am I supposed to like her in here? She didn't run any fast races last year. The win when they dropped her in class came by a nose. So is she really competitive with horses like this? I would say yes, she is. I liked every one of her races as a 2-year-old. You were mentioning the Tepin when Laurelin beat her. And listen, Laurelin ran great that day.
Yeah.
But this horse was, as you pointed out, just hemmed in by Laurelin all through the stretch there. She never really got clear to run. And I'm not going to sit here and suggest that she was going to win that race, Gino, but she was going to be a lot closer. And I would just argue she was second best in there. I think she's super underrated and is interesting, really, really interested in him.
That race, when they faced each other, they were 5-1 and 9-2.
Yeah.
And it just feels like the difference is going to be a lot more on Friday night when they run against each other. Laurelin might be, 3 or 4 times less the price of Reining Flowers. And if that's the case, then I think a real value prospect in Reining Flowers. Bessie Abbott is a horse who was in an off the turf race at Saratoga most recently, was behind Nitrogen. She got to the lead that day. She was defeated by 17 lengths. I'm not really taking much out of that. 2 starts back, though, in her first start in the U.S., she finished second that day. She actually, I thought, ran really well when she got a little bit of room and she got an opening. So third start in the U.S. now, third start of the form cycle. What do you think about Bessie Abbott in here?
Yeah, she's another one who I just feel like I can say the same things about her that I'll say about a bunch of these horses. It feels like there's a ton of upside here.
Yep.
And she is going to have to find a way to move forward in this race. But I could say that about a lot of other horses in here. I'm with you about obviously you don't care about the last race.
No.
That race just means nothing. So you judge her off the other 2. I thought her race at Keeneland was okay. I thought she got a good trip in there, and she got first run on the winner and just, really was no match for that horse. But that horse has a chance to be really good. That's a Chad Brown import from France that horse has a chance to be really good. And so I feel like that performance is okay. Her win at a huge price on debut over in Ireland was good too. But she came from last that day. It just sort of kept, when you watch the replay, though, I don't know if you bothered to check it out, Gino.
Yeah.
That trip just kept working out for her, man. She's coming from left up the inside, and every time she needed room,
she kept there. Room. Yep.
Yeah.
Kept staying inside all the way through. And as you pointed out, same sort of thing. Eliminate the race last time out. You're using her off the turf form. And I'm hoping that she is one of those horses who could sit a pretty good trip. I don't know if she's on the lead like she was last time out, and the projector had her on the lead, but I think she'll be in the top flight, top 3 or 4. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for, maybe with horses who could be a price and get the trips in here. Midway memories, 2 races, improved from start 1 to start 2. Really tough to knock the overall form. I thought that the win at Aqueduct, the maiden breaking win, it's exactly what you'd like to see. Some improvement off the race in the debut where she showed some ability. So again, horses like her and the next few we're going to talk about, I don't really have knocks on. I like a few others just a little bit more, but she wouldn't be a big shock to see her take another step forward.
Absolutely not. This horse, to me, this is a Chad Brown horse who's going to be really good this year. Both of her races are awesome. This is the maiden win. Last time, their debut they maybe overrated her a little bit in that race and took her too far back. She was flying at the end of that race.
Had too much to do.
And in this race, you're going to see her just reel. And I know the horse on the lead's a big long shot here, but she's just going to reel this horse in and run her right over at the end of this race. She's got pedigree behind her for Chad Brown. I feel like she can get any kind of a trip in a race. I think both of Chad's horses are a little interested in here. I much prefer this one. I think this horse has a chance to be really good.
Candy Quest is a horse so I think you have played it once, and I've played a few times. I liked her earlier on in her career, and initially I kind of went through the field and thought, I don't know if she has much of a chance. But honestly, if you can just say she didn't love that turf course last time out, because she sort of just didn't really show a lot of late energy, and maybe she wasn't liking the good turf course,
Yeah.
If she was able to just improve off of the Sanibel Island race when she finished second and take a little step forward off of that, Mike, she's another who wouldn't be far off in here. Just not necessarily in my top tier, but she's not overmatched by this group by any means.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you do have to just find a way to make some kind of an excuse for the memories of silver last time, because I personally didn't feel like she had a huge one. But maybe it is the ground, maybe she just wants it to be firm, and maybe she'll get that and it'll make a difference. To me, she just wasn't good enough in that race. And then I know it was close in the Sanibel Island 2 starts back, but I also didn't feel like she had a huge excuse that day. And I don't like the horse that beat her that day. That really bothers me. I think this field's way tougher than the memories of silver, and it's way tougher than the Sanibel Island. And I think she's way up against it here. And I also think she's a terrible price on the morning line. 5-1. No, thank you.
The next one up is Love and Poetry. Just doesn't have a whole lot of early speed, and that could maybe hurt her in a spot like this, and just like a competitive race where she may just not be as efficient as some of these others. She was really slow out of the gate. She was like 4 lengths behind the rest of the field last time out too, so she had to do a lot just to get into contention with everybody else. She's about 5 or 6 wide at the top of the lane. She closed really, really well, and is moving nicely late. Will she get the pace set up though in here, Mike, as we're not really sure if they're going to be lining up on the front end?
Yeah, exactly. Seems like she did have, a legit excuse last time anyway, but it still begs the question. I mean, how good is she, and what kind of trip is she going to get here? I don't know. I thought that there was way too much working against her. I'm not suggesting that she's not another horse that has a little bit of upside here and could turn out to be okay, but she was one of the horses that I sort of had real trouble talking myself into in this race.
Yeah, she's stringing some races together. That's a positive, but I think she also might be a little better going longer. She's cutting back here. Sometimes that helps because she gets a little more setup, but it doesn't seem like she really even gets going until later. We round things out with Laurelin, and it's tough to knock this undefeated filly. She's 3 for 3. She's a multiple stakes winner, and she probably is one of like the natural, quicker, or more kind of versatile fillies in here, especially from the outside. I wouldn't be shocked if they want to use that or maybe go a little closer. Mike, what do you think about Laurelin overall? Second start now as a 3-year-old.
Listen, they made her the morning line favorite, and I can't argue with that. I think she is the horse to beat in here. She's just run really well in all 3 of her starts. This is the most recent one. This is the 3-year-old debut back in April, and she just did what she's done in all 3 of her starts in here. And yeah, she's gonna have to work pretty hard here to put down Opulent Restraint on the lead here. But Opulent Restraint's a pretty nice horse, I think. Yeah. And it's just, when you watch all 3 of Laurelin's races, she does the same thing. She's so handy that her rider can just do whatever he wants with her. He's moved her early in races, and every single time he mid-moves with her, she comes right back into his hands, and then he comes again with her through the stretch, and she is there for him, and she finishes. I think she's really, really good. I mean, she's another horse. Don't worry about the layoff. They wanted to run her in a much bigger race at Saratoga during the Belmont Stakes Festival there. It got rained off the turf. And so this is kind of plan B, but she's ready to go. She's really, really good, and she's the horse to beat.
And one thing that you pointed out that was real key too is she responds to the asking of Carmouche just really well. So in a race like this, where the pace scenario is a bit murky, right? We're kind of trying to talk it out. If he needs to make an early move, she's done that so well a few different times. She just feels like a horse who's in a great spot here. So let's move to selections, Mike, for the Penn Oaks. How you want to stack them up in here?
Listen, we sort of talked about Reining Flowers, and we both have a lot of respect for this horse. I think she's the most interesting, sort of long shot. I think she will be a fair price too. Yep. And so that was enough for me to want to take a shot with her. I really liked her as a 2-year-old, Gino, and I think there's a real chance that it may not look like it on paper, but I think she can go with these horses. And so I want to take a shot with her at a price. And if she's just not quite good enough, I think Laurelin is the right horse in here. I think she's the horse to beat. I'm all about 4,994 in here.
4,961 for Mike. It's going to be 5,493 for me. I'm going to throw Bessie Abbott aboard, getting back to the turf course, maybe sitting a nice trip. Tons of respect for Reining Flowers. I think she's very, very bettable in here. I have in the second spot. We both have Laurelin as definitely a horse to beat and the real measuring stick for this field. But whoever you play, however you play them, we wish you the best of luck.